This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
It is Sunday morning, so hello, welcome. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. This is the show for entrepreneurs and those who want to be one. Webster defines an entrepreneur as someone who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or enterprise. So you'll meet several entrepreneurs today, men and women sharing their stories, how they got started, how they found their funding, how they run their business day to day. Two of our regular contributors return, a financial reporter who covers the week in business and a certified public accountant talking accounting and bookkeeping. We'll take a look at a particular industry through entrepreneurial eyes, and we'll wrap things up with a success story. We're here with a new show every week on Wish TV, but we're more than a broadcast. You can also live stream us at wishtv.com. We post each of our 7 weekly segments from past shows on our website. It's beoshow.com. Watch and share those with your entrepreneurial friends. While you're there, listen to our Business, Equity, and Opportunities podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We update it every Tuesday. So here's what's on today's Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Jane King reports from the NASDAQ. Courtney Kincaid looks at the growing of the next generation of CPAs. An Indiana company shares its push for sustainability. We focus on a local menswear shop, and we'll present another success story. Up first, we're getting started with the story of the B-Corp movement, what it is, and how Next Studios became the first B-Corp member in Indiana.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
John McDonald is managing entrepreneur of Next Studios at 16 Tech in Indianapolis.
Next Studios is a startup studio or innovation studio. Our job is to help primarily underserved founder communities get started with new business ideas. The structure of the studio, though, is a little bit unusual. Kind of think it might be first of its kind in that startup founders, particularly those from underserved founder communities, don't always have the resources to be able to avail themselves of top shelf services when it comes to helping them with their startup. So what we do is we do innovation consulting and other work with established corporations and sometimes communities, helping them with their entrepreneurship and innovation issues. And then we use the resources that we get from those engagements to provide benefits to startup founders at no charge to them. We do this primarily through what's called a benefits corporation or a B-Corp. And that enables us to be able to sort of use some of these sort of Robin Hood style resources in favor of helping others who don't necessarily have the same advantages. A B-Corp, or sometimes called a benefits corporation, is a new type of corporate structure which, among other things, you're required to declare a public benefit for the existence of your company in your charter when you charter with the state. Ours happens to be advancing entrepreneurship in Indiana. And then when you gather resources from your regular operations, you're sort of compelled as a leader of the company to use some of them in service of the public benefit. And when you do, they become sort of tax deductible. So it's something like a cross between a charity and a regular company. It's really a way for you to wear on your sleeve what you care about as a company. And that can be very attractive to employees, it can be attractive to customers, and certainly is in line with trends today where people want to do business with and work for companies that align to what it is that they care about. Well, Peggy, I'm really glad you asked that question. A lot of what came of Next Studios began with some conversations with some founders from these underserved founder communities. Black, Latino, women, rural, LGBTQ, just about everybody, frankly. Most people in Indiana fall into one of those categories or more. And really trying to understand what was holding them back from becoming an entrepreneur. The two things that we found consistently when we engaged with them was I didn't think that I had what it took to be an entrepreneur, or I don't have the access to the resources or the knowledge or some combination of that I need. Well, as you know from your own travels and conversations, what it takes to be an entrepreneur is much less than what most people think it is. It's the courage to take action on an idea right now. And it's in no way, shape, or form how much money you have or what you know or where you went to school or any of those things, right? So what we wanted to do was start to develop programs that would enable them to gain confidence not only in the ideas that they had, but also in themselves. And also provide some vehicles for funding so that they could overcome some of the barriers to entry if you don't have relatives or friends or a bank account that can invest in what you are because of just who you are. That led to the creation of something called Discovery Workshop, which is something we do routinely. We did one here at 16 Tech a few weeks ago in Fort Wayne just last week. And it's really a lean startup boot camp. It's designed to help the founders understand what problem they're solving, who is affected by that problem, what they should charge for it. It's a pretty important business basics. It's not about creating a pitch deck. It's more about creating a business model that works and gives them confidence. And we partnered with the Central Indiana Community Foundation to create an impact fund, which is a venture fund that uses philanthropically donated money to the fund. And that gives entrepreneurs the ability to tap capital very early in the process, particularly those who've not done it before. All those things are sort of tools that we have in the tool belt to help those underserved founders, all of which is offered at no charge to them. Well, depending on who you read, what report you read, we're either 47th or 49th in America in the percentage of our population that works in startup companies. That's a problem because the Kaufman Foundation in Kansas City and others have uncovered that it's really new businesses that are the creators of new jobs in the American economy. All the job roles since 1977 have been created by businesses less than 5 years old. So if you're 47th or 49th and that's the only creator of new jobs, that's a big problem for our state. And it accounts for why there's so many people ranging from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation on down to counties and localities and regions that are all leaning into heavily what to do about that. And so what we've really been trying to work on very hard with our studio and with our activities is how do we reach out to people that are just simply don't have a seat at the table, they're not enfranchised. And if you're in a small town in Indiana, we really need you to take that idea and turn it into a business because that's the creator of new jobs, that's the creator of stability, that's the creator of people that want to stay in that community and live and work and thrive, and we need that all over the place. And so if you're thinking that you have a great idea, and we all do, everybody has them all day long, and you're thinking about turning that into a business, we need you to do that and realize that it's only successful thing that it takes is that intentionality, that courage, and the support of the people around you to help you make it happen.
Getting Started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
If you'd like more information about getting started, how Next Studios has done it, or if you'd like to learn if your business can join the B-Corp movement, we have links on our website. It's beoshow.com. If you'd like to ask us a question or have your business featured on our show, send us an email. It's beo@wishtv.com. After the break, we go seeking access to capital. Stay with us. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. We speak to business owners, bankers, grant writers, and many more people with the goal of finding you money to make your dreams into a business success. Let's go seeking access to capital.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Matthew B. Murphy III is president and CEO of Emboss Partners, Incorporated. He helps counsel businesses on the best ways to gain access to capital. And while acquiring the money is clearly important, he says what may be more important is relationship building.
One of the keys to what we do as an advisor and consultant is to emphasize the importance of relationships. The process of sourcing financial resources sounds scientific, and it sounds, of course, quantitative from an analysis standpoint, but a lot of it starts with having built relationships prior to when you need the money. So if businesses are looking to get started or they've already gotten started and they're building toward growth, it's never too soon to reach out to financial providers like bankers. We have some tremendous banks in central Indiana and throughout the state, large and small, many of which support all of the different types of businesses, large and small. And to already have established a relationship with the financial institution and the bankers within those institutions, for example, is money well spent, money and time well spent. So that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I give, is that you really ought to find the relationship before you find the money. And that goes a long way, because people do business with people. And when you can establish that you are deserving and knowledgeable enough to be able to attract the capital and convey that you can pay it back and a return on that capital, that's a good formula. Business owners, entrepreneurs who launch businesses have 1,000 things on their agenda each day. And a lot of it has to do with running the business. A lot of it has to do with managing the processes and the people inside the business. Sometimes it's very difficult to carve out the time to network and to build relationships. But the piece of advice that I always come back to is, as an entrepreneur who is building a business, you actually have to build your team so that you can step away and do some of the soft skill things like relationship building. When you can walk outside your four walls and know that things are going to go each day the way they're supposed to, because you've got good managers, good directors, good employees. You've got to schedule some time for those things that will bring value to the company in the long run. And the relationship building and the networking piece is very, very valuable to that process.
You'll see tips on accessing capital here first each week on our broadcast, and you can see any and share all of them through links on our website. It's beoshow.com, but you can get there right now by clicking on the QR code on your screen. Coming up, Courtney Kincaid on growing the next generation of CPAs. First, though, Jane King reports from the NASDAQ on the Week in Business.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
This week in business, a congressional push is underway to make Indiana a real player in the defense industry. Turns out several Indiana communities can tout better housing and jobs numbers than most across the country. And from a Wall Street perspective anyway, with a few days up and down here in between, the first part of the year has been pretty strong. Jane King knows all these stories and joins us now, taking a moment away at the NASDAQ. Jane, thanks for being with us as always. Let's start with this idea of Indiana's future in the military, in the defense system.
Well, that's right, Scott. And defense and aerospace is already a multi-billion-dollar industry in Indiana, but Congressman Jim Banks believes there could be significantly more business. So he hosted the second annual Northeast Indiana Defense Summit last week in Fort Wayne, and they attracted business and academic, military executives from around the country. And he's also bringing some people from Silicon Valley, so some leading tech innovators to Fort Wayne as well. Of course, there's Raytheon, General Dynamics, others in that area. But Congressman Banks says that tech is going to be a big role in the future of U.S. security, and so he's trying to kind of combine all that and bring some jobs and high tech to the Fort Wayne area.
It's always interesting. The ingredients that might lure big business here are some of the same things that small business may be interested in as well. What the defense industry may like, for instance, in terms of housing for its prospective workers, in terms of prices. Also job availability for other members of the family that may be coming as well. Indiana's fairly strong at this point.
fairly strong. You gotta love it. I mean, Indiana has such great balance with these things. So Go Banking Rates, financial website, did this ranking, and they looked at typical home value, rent, the unemployment rate in the area, and gathered information and took some information from Zillow as well and came up with this list. And they basically put Evansville as the highest ranking Indiana city in terms of just cost of living, affordable housing. It was number 2 in the nation. The typical home value in Evansville was just over $168,000. Typical rent was $826,000. Fort Wayne was number 4, $213,000 for a home. Indianapolis number 10 on that list. And by the way, in case you're wondering, Birmingham, Alabama ranked at the top of the list.
Interesting. From your perch, we often see the green and red numbers behind you. I hate to risk jinxing this, and we're only halfway through the year, but it's been a bit more green this year. In fact, historically, better than many years for the last several decades.
It has, especially for tech stocks. So the NASDAQ was beaten up so badly last year when we saw the interest rate hikes and inflation, and they really made up for that this year. So the first half of the year, the NASDAQ was up about 31%. That's the best first half of the year performance for the NASDAQ since 1983. The S&P 500 was up like 16% or so. So the big question is, where do we go from here? I mean, it would be unusual to see the NASDAQ go up much more from here. I mean, that would just be 31% is an unbelievable gain. To go up even more would be difficult. So we might see some people take some money out of tech, put it in some of the industries that haven't done as well this year, like energy is one of those. But a lot of this is going to depend on what the Federal Reserve does with interest rates, how inflation goes. We made it through a banking crisis in the first half of the year, so it's pretty impressive that the stock market did so well.
All right, well, let's watch closely over the next several months and see how 2023 turns out, but a promising start to begin with. And Jane King, it's always promising for us when we get to talk with you. We appreciate you taking the time for This Week in Business.
Thanks so much, Scott.
This Week in Business is made possible by InnoPower.
Also happening this week in business, Indiana Black Expo Summer Celebration is now through July 16th in Indianapolis. There are several business-oriented events and workshops at the convention center, including the Governor's Awards reception, recognizing unsung heroes in the Black community, those who work tirelessly for the advancement of everyone in Indiana. The event's Tuesday, the 11th, from 2:30 to 4 in the 500 Ballroom. The Education Conference is Thursday, the 13th, from 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening at the Sagamore Ballroom. And then a corporate luncheon is Friday, the 14th, starting at 11, also in the Sagamore Ballroom. For more information about Indiana Black Expo events, we have links at beoshow.com. Scan the QR code on your screen to get there right now. If your business has an event you'd like us to mention, send us an email 3 weeks in advance, beo@wishtv.com. Up later, supporting sustainability in running your business day to day. First, though, our friendly CPA, Courtney Kincaid, after these messages. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for spending some of your Sunday with us. Time now for our weekly tips on accounting and bookkeeping. This week, Courtney Kincaid, President and CEO of the Indiana Society of CPAs, speaks to the need of growing the next generation of her profession.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, accounting and bookkeeping.
CPAs aren't unique in that we have a shortage of professionals, right? I know that we can say that about pretty much any profession right now, but particularly so in our profession when we look at the demographics of who makes up our practitioners. We, for the last 10 plus years, have really been focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, so the whole journey. But one of the programs that we're really proud of is the InkPass Scholars Program. The InkPass Scholars Program really focuses on ethnic minorities who are at the high school level, so either juniors or seniors, who have an interest in accounting. And a lot of times their interest is a little bit skewed. They might not understand what CPAs do. And so for the longevity and the betterment of the profession, we've really focused on changing misperceptions, having a better understanding of a lot of these students are first generation college students. So what does it take to go to college? What does it look like? Matching them with scholarship opportunities, but also visiting colleges and universities to see what might be a good fit, kind of bridging that gap into I'm leaving high school, going into college. We pair them with mentors, so CPAs working in the field now, so they can get a better understanding of what CPAs do. When we look at national research, there is this thought that accounting is all about math, and it's really not. Accounting is a really great way to help your community. I come on this program and talk about how we can help small businesses. And when we look at what young people are interested in, particularly young Black males, they're really interested in being entrepreneurs and helping small businesses. And a great way to do that is by becoming a CPA. So the InkPass Scholars Program is supported by our member organizations. This year we have a premier sponsor in Forvis, and also big help from PwC and Deloitte. And they help financially support this program because it's a 12-month intensive program where we take about 25 students through a intensive look at what the opportunities are in becoming a CPA. And over the last 10 plus years, we've brought 236 students through the program, and 63% of them end up studying business and accounting in college. And now, it's a long game, right? Because we're starting in high school. We're starting to see licensed CPAs entering the profession in ways that we can really diversify the applicant pool. To inform our strategy with the Scholars Program and other programs and services we offer, we've partnered with the Center for Audit Quality, and they have done some extensive research into see what motivates students, who serves as good mentors, and what these students ultimately want to achieve in their careers. And we will share some more information, a link to this survey information. Those students who are eligible to participate in the InkPass Scholars Program meet 3 criteria. 1, they are enrolled in high school, typically in their junior or senior year. They are an ethnic minority. And 3, they have a GPA of 2.5 or above. We will also provide you with information on how you can apply or how you can share information with a student you might know who wants to apply.
Business, equity, and opportunities. Extra.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Time to talk accounting and bookkeeping with the CFO here at Wish TV and Circle City Broadcasting, Ty Shea. Ty, thanks. Second part of a conversation we're having, sort of bringing folks back to basics, things they'll need to deal with, whether they're a numbers person or not. Financial ratios. The good news is I have no idea what that is, so please start from the very big basics.
Yeah, sure. So from a broad standpoint, financial ratios are a great way to quickly and efficiently be able to potentially assess the viability, the health, the efficiency of a business using different formulas that can be taken from information from a business's financial statements. Mm-hmm. And they can be, some ratios can look at, for instance, how efficiently you turn sales into cash, which is really the end goal for any business. You make the sale. How quickly do you turn that sale into money that comes into your business? Or looking at liquidity ratios, right? So looking at how short-term assets like accounts receivable versus short-term cash needs or outflows for accounts payable. A healthy company has certainly more, at the very least, has more short-term assets, money coming in that they have claims to than other people have claims to them, which is their accounts payable, right? And so these ratios where, generally you're dividing, numbers or multiplying numbers or coming up with different figures give a real quick glimpse into how healthy a company is. And I'll tell you, for a lot of businesses who are looking to get money from a bank and start a relationship there, that's one thing all bankers look at is looking at financial ratios. And the beautiful thing about financial ratios is they can differ from industry to industry. There are industry norms that go into and they change from industry to industry. And so often there are industry benchmarks that you can compare your company and your business to.
Is it a useful tool to help you make decisions? Like, I may think, I've got this great idea and I just know it'll be a moneymaker, and then you start plugging the numbers in and you go, oh, well, not unless I do this, or that other thing.
Yeah, it at the very least, they're not an end-all, right? They're an indicator. They're a marker for you, and they provide not necessarily a roadmap. They're not a solutions-based type thing, but they are a way to look back and say, how did we perform? And an indicator of, okay, maybe we need to change something in our model to become more efficient, more profitable, and in that fashion.
We've talked a lot in past conversations about the value of perhaps having somebody else do the numbers work for you if that's not your area of strength, or you just want to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. In the financial ratio question, is it something that you can learn to at the very least use kind of as a thumbnail? It doesn't have to be your final accounting practice, but it can, and maybe something you learn on your own or with the help of an expert, not have to go to somebody every time?
And like anything, financial ratios, there's some really basic ones that still offer very valuable insight, and then there's more complicated ones, and it depends on your individual needs. And yes, you could run down a handful full of ratios that like a current ratio or a debt to equity ratio or things like that are very basic and provide great insight into your performance. And then you can definitely get in the weeds and really, dive in with both feet and enlist the help of a professional if need be, to really get a deep understanding of how your business is performing. And again, it comes down to the individual business. Not every business needs 30 financial ratios to tell you what you already know in a lot of cases. Sometimes there is a certain amount of confirmation that goes along with those as well.
I always like when you get the light in your eyes that says, maybe I could bring somebody into the world of accounting and bookkeeping, even if they're from something completely different.
Jump in.
That's Ty Shea talking financial ratios. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
You can see all of Courtney's accounting and bookkeeping segments on our website, beoshow.com. Type it in, or more quickly, scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter that our team updates every Tuesday, and subscribe to the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. Listen to our contributors on your schedule. A little later, an industry focus. We visit a modern-day haberdashery. First, though, running your business day to day after we run through some business with you. It is time on Business Equity and Opportunities to talk about running your business day to day. Corteva Agriscience is based in Indianapolis, started in 2018 with the Dow-DuPont merger, then spun off as its own company the next year. Today it's billed as the only major agriscience company completely dedicated to agriculture with a focus that includes sustainability and fighting food inequities. That fight starts in part in a community garden.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Corteva is an agricultural company. We deliver seed and crop protection innovations to farmers around the globe. Corteva is a member of InClimate. We're one of the original stakeholders of this group that holds important conversations with agriculture, natural resources, energy industries about climate impacts and how we can provide solutions to the issues that our customers are facing. Yeah, so climate is a big global issue, but the impacts and the drivers are very locally focused, and the solutions that we can offer are very locally focused. For example, with Corteva, our customers are farmers, and we provide innovations that are based at a farm level, field level for where that farmer is, and the solutions that we provide and that the farmer provides are going to be different all around the globe. And it's important to us to engage with organizations like InClimate so we can be a part of those local discussions. Yeah, so we are at the Harvest for Hunger Garden. It was established by Corteva employees in 2014 to address issues with food security and availability of fresh fruits and vegetables at local food pantries. So our employees volunteer in the garden. 50% of what they grow, it acts as a community garden. They can take that home, and 50% we deliver to local food pantries. We also have hives in the back and produce local honey that's also donated to food pantries. The garden has grown tremendously since it started in 2014. We now have over 100 plots, and that is based on employee interest and engagement. They feel it's a great way to give back to the community. It's also an educational resource with their families or their children's classrooms to learn about where our food comes from and how it's produced. We found at Corteva that our employees are very passionate about the environment and passionate about volunteering, and I think that's true for a lot of Hoosiers, and I'd recommend to companies, whether it's starting with a smaller garden, starting with some native habitat on their grounds that their employees can help manage. A little goes a long way to making a big impact in your local community. I love being a part of Corteva, and I really love our mission, which is to enrich the lives of those who produce and those who consume for generations to come, thinking about the big picture. And we're really focused on 4 areas that we think demand urgent attention, which are sustainable innovation, so leveraging the science expertise of our employees to deliver tools for farmers that help them become more resilient to climate impacts, focusing on supporting biodiversity and enhancing the natural resources and everything that we need to sustain our food production system. We're also really focused on inclusion, diversity, and equity, and fostering the diverse perspectives that foster creativity and new innovations. And then we're also focused, of course, on climate and what our impacts are, how we can reduce Corteva's greenhouse gas footprint, and how we can deliver solutions that make it easier for farmers to continue being great stewards of the land. Food security is critically important. Approximately 1 billion people in the world don't know when or if their next meal will come. Here in central Indiana, 1 in 5 people is food insecure. And so finding ways to do your part, to give back to your community, to donate to food pantries, volunteer your time to help with food insecurity is critically important.
If you'd like to learn more about running your business, scan the QR code that's on your screen. That'll go to beoshow.com for links to this and all of the segments that we do. A bit later, our success story. But right after this break, a look at the menswear industry focused on a local clothier.
Every business is unique, and every business has a target audience. Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble to reach a customer base that spans the globe. Pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. No matter the size of your business, put Circulus Digital Media to work for you and get results.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Every week we take a look at a different industry through the focus of the local entrepreneurs doing business in it. Today we focus on the area known as Sobro, South Broad Ripple, at a local small business building a big reputation, thriving even in a mega store world.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Industry Focus.
Kent Henry is the co-owner of Heritage Clothier and Home, a shop featuring an eclectic mix of home decor and gift items with a focus on menswear.
Heritage Clothier and Home it's a coming home story. I was born and raised on a farm here in Indiana. My family settled here in 1820, and when I got done with high school, I was supposed to go off to college, but I decided that I wanted to open my own business. I was 17 years old, and I opened my own business, and I had businesses here in Indianapolis, and then moved to South Florida, had businesses in South Florida and Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and but all my family's here. I was born and raised here, and it just was time to come home. So with all of those business experiences, it's called Heritage Clothier and Home because it's part of our heritage. It's our Indiana heritage, it's our retail heritage. So this store is like a mini department store because it basically is a little bit of each part of all of that journey, all brought to one place at one time towards the end of one's life. And I wanted to spend more time with family. I got grandkids, and I love Indianapolis and the community here, so it was just time to come home. It's a lot harder than it looks, a lot harder. When we first opened the store, we'd have younger people come in and said, "Oh my God, you're doing exactly what I want to do." And I'd say to them, "Well, if you want to work 60 hours a week for less than minimum wage, let's sign you up." I'd also say that because I've been in business for myself for over 40 years, when the downs come, the economic downturns or COVID or whatever, it knocks you to your knees. And you have to have a lot of fortitude to be able to stand up. And I'll honestly admit, when COVID came, I did not know I had one more in me because I've gone through the economic downturns, I've gone through, in South Florida, the hurricanes. But it was just like, well, put on your big boy pants and get back in there and make a run at it. And as I said to people when they came in and said, "I can't believe you survived COVID," and I was like, "No, I'm just going to stay in business out of spite." So you're not taking me down now. I think Indiana and Indianapolis in particular is very welcoming and very easy to work with. I've not seen any governmental obstacles in any way of wanting to do what we need to do to grow our business. I know that some states it's more difficult, some cities it's more difficult, but I think Indiana is a very business-friendly state, and Indianapolis is definitely a very business-friendly city. And as this city continues to grow, it's just drawing more and more people in, which is exciting. I mean, the tech industry has exploded here, and with that has come talent, and has come art, and has come other things that only makes our community better. And so it's a blessing. We're very fortunate because we're in men's fashion. The industry is very vibrant, very creative. There's new designers all the time. So that is refreshing and inspires me because their excitement about what they're doing inspires me to get excited about it. So, I've been in the men's fashion business for 20, 30 years. So it's just continuing to work hard. As far as Indianapolis goes, this town's just booming. Just honestly, it's just amazing. Every single time I turn around, I see something more that this city just took it to another level. It definitely helps the business to participate in the community. There's a statistic that when you shop local, 68 cents of every dollar you spend stays in your community. When you buy online, between 8 and 10 cents stays in your community, and that's mostly just the drivers who are delivering the product. That 68 cents makes a huge difference in everybody's lives here because I eat at the local restaurant, I shop at the local grocery store, but it also means we can donate our time and energy to local nonprofits. And with the success of a business comes a responsibility to lift the entire community up. This needs to be a rising tide that lifts all boats. And as long as it's a win, I'm a strong believer in look for the win-win-win. And then pretty much where we're somewhat in the camp of don't ever say no, even though there's many times when I feel like I should have said no, but you just can't. You have to say yes and jump in with both feet.
If you'd like to see any of our industry-focused segments, they're all on BEOshow.com. Quickest way to get there is to scan the QR code that's on your screen. Share the segments with friends or business partners through Facebook, Twitter, email. Just use the buttons you'll see right below the video. When we return, it is our success story. Stay with us. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities for this Sunday morning. If you have watched us since the start of our show, or just a few weeks, or if this is your first hour with us, you'll find that we always end our episodes with an inspirational story of local business success.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities Success Story.
Thomas Dock is the Director of Communications and Public Information Officer for Noah's Animal Hospitals, Central Indiana's largest family-owned, locally operated group of veterinary hospitals.
So Noah's Animal Hospitals has been part of Central Indiana for about 40 years. In fact, we just celebrated our 40th anniversary last December. It started when Dr. Mike Thomas came back to Indiana. He was born in Shelby County, and he had been practicing in Florida. He came back to Indiana, purchased the very first Noah's Hospital, which is located at 56 in Emerson, and grew it from there. Basically, Dr. Thomas started with himself and 3 employees. That was it. I think the growth for Noah's means that we can help serve more pets and their people throughout Central Indiana. And that's very important to Dr. Thomas because the foundational core value of Noah's is that we will always put the needs of the pet and the pet's family first. So whatever the pet needs, and then we talk with the family about what's the best way to go forward. So Dr. Thomas is the only owner of Noah's Animal Hospitals. In this day and age when 25% of veterinary hospitals are owned by corporate aggregators, you may not even know whether or not your veterinary hospital is owned locally. Noah's is and has been and always will be locally owned and family owned. In fact, many of our employees have been with us for more than 10 years. We have generations of employees working with us. Dr. Thomas's children, his grandchildren, my son worked for us for a little while. Even that very first employee, her name was Mary Grabo. She was a 15-year-old kennel kid when he bought the practice in 1981. She is now our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Mary Grabo. I think clients want local, especially in these days and age. I think they've gone through, many people, whether they're boomers or Gen X, have gone through the corporate growth and seen what's happened and seen the loss of the unique experience, the individual experience. And at Noah's, being family owned, we want to make sure that everybody has that positive, memorable experience. Every time that they come in, that they're greeted by somebody that they know, that they've seen before, that they've seen out in the community. And so I think our clients absolutely love it. And again, we have several practices, including the one on Crawfordsville Road, that is a generational practice where parents and their kids and their kids' kids have started bringing their pets to us. So I don't think that Noah's really thought that we'd get this big, but what's happened is the needs of the pet owners have changed. Certainly they still need to bring their pets in for vaccinations and spaying and neutering and elective type surgeries, but now the important things are like emergency and urgent care, and that's part of our brand as well. We actually have 3 24-hour emergency hospitals, and then also we've got a community outreach practice. So for those folks who maybe have pets and the pet care is a little bit beyond their financial means, we have a practice that can help take care of them too. I think a lot of the success of Noah's is really due to our relationships, not only with the local community of pet owners, but also the local rescues, the local animal shelters. We work with over 65 different rescues and shelters here in central Indiana, and that number continues to grow. And it's because of them that we're able to help keep pets in their homes instead of having people relinquish it because of financial means or behavioral means or anything like that. Our goal is to lessen the burden on our shelter, Indianapolis Animal Care Services, and we do that through working through these rescues, getting them into their forever homes. Working in veterinary medicine has its share of ups and downs, certainly. We see a lot of cases where people, need to say goodbye to a family member because of a severe injury, because of a long-term illness. But there are so many positive things that can happen too. When we see that young Labrador that maybe has a broken leg because it got hit by a car, we've got doctors that can fix that and fix that at a reasonable fee and keep that pet with the family. And so those are the heartwarming things that we see each and every day, even to a point where we have clients that come back bringing cupcakes and donuts and homemade cookies and buying pizza for the staff. Those are the moments that you've made a difference in the community. The future is extremely bright. I think we've got a great group of doctors. We have over 40 doctors in our organization. We have about 280 employees now, so a lot of growth from that initial practice 40 years ago. We're gonna be here as long as people want us here in central Indiana, because we're part of the community. We're part of the pet-loving community here in central Indiana.
That is Business Equity and Opportunities for this week. Our thanks to Jane King, Courtney Kincaid, and everybody who shared a story with us. If you want more information about the topics on today's show, find the links on our website, beoshow.com. Scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you right there. While you're there, look for past segments of the show from each of our 7 weekly topics. Watch them, download them, share them on social media. Also listen to and subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. It's on the All Indiana Podcast Network, and you'll find other great things there as well. Sign up for our newsletter that we update every Tuesday, and if you have questions or a success story to share, shoot us an email, beo@wishtv.com. We'll see you next week for Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Have a great Sunday.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation, InnoPower, Bose McKinney & Evans, Gemco, Fifth Third Bank, and IU Indianapolis.